From County College of Morris, this is CCM All Access.
CCM All Access, CCM All Access, CCM All Access, CCM All Access,
Hello, and welcome to CCM All Access, the program that brings you news and information from the County College of Morris. Students at CCM, members of the community, people doing good things. I'm Brenda Todd, and joining me today are three of the librarians from the Sherman Maston Learning Resource Center here at CCM. Thank you. Welcome.
Thank you.
So would you go around and introduce yourselves and tell us about your position at the Learning Resource Center?
Sure. I'm Heather Craven, and I'm the Dean of the Library in the Learning Resource Center.
Okay.
Jane Kingsland. I'm a reference librarian, and we do instruction also.
And Lisa LASKARIS, I'm reference and instruction librarian as well.
Okay. So Heather, I know that first of all, the library now is a beautiful place. It's a very welcoming place. We have Starbucks, we have plenty of lights, lots of computers, lots of resources there. And when did that come about? When did we have that?
The library was renovated starting in 2012 and was reopened the fall of 2014.
Okay.
And has been fabulously popular since then. It's a lovely, light, pleasant space. It's got one of the nicest views on campus.
Yes.
And students are very excited that we now have a Starbucks right there in the library.
Absolutely, absolutely. Now, is it available to the public and to alumni as well as students?
It is, yes. Members of the public are welcome to come in. They can enjoy their cup of Starbucks coffee. There are magazines and newspapers for them to read. They're welcome to use the computers. Our librarians are there to help them with any research questions that they might have.
Fantastic.
And if they have a card from any of the public libraries in Morris County, they can also check out materials.
Oh, really? So they don't have to have a specific CCM
Right.
CCM card. Well, that's great. So tell us about what the Learning Resource Center offers.
Sure. So there's the Learning Resource Center building, which includes several departments. It has the testing center, accessibility services. There's a gallery. And the media center where we are right now.
Right.
And on the second floor is the library, which is our area. The library, the primary thing that the library does is it supports information literacy for our students.
Okay.
Businesses nowadays are really looking for graduates who understand information, who can do more than just a Google search, who can really do the research and find accurate information that's relevant, that's current, that's appropriate for their field. So the library supports that across campus. And we do that, I like to think we do that in 4 ways. One is instruction. Our librarians
That's
will...
where the two of you come in.
Yes.
Yeah, we'll directly teach research skills to classes. So professors will bring a class in, and the librarians will teach them research skills. And that could be anything from knowing whether a website is good or not to understanding the difference between a scholarly article and something popular.
Right.
So that's sort of the first piece. The second piece is research tutoring. People can come in anytime the library is open, and a librarian is there to help them figure out the resources they need for their research paper, or any question that they might have where they're looking for information. So that's the second piece. The third piece is resources. We do still have books.
Right.
But in addition to the books, we now also have many, many databases that are accessible. And again, members of the public are welcome to come in and use those. And sort of the fourth piece of that is the space. And as you say, we're fortunate to have a very lovely space on the second floor of the Learning Resource Center. We also have an online space. So we do provide resources, especially for our students who might be taking online courses and might never come to campus. We want to make sure that they have a space where they can find the information that they need. There are study guides and links to the databases and so on. So that in a nutshell is sort of what the library does.
Yeah, so you also have an archive department.
We do, and Jean is our archivist.
Been doing that since I got here 8 years ago. So
Oh, okay.
10 years ago, sorry.
And so what is the archive department? How far back does that information go?
We go back to the beginning, so we have yearbooks from when we opened in 1968. So we have those actually only until 1991 when we stopped issuing yearbooks. But we have a lot of records from way back, not private records, not records management, but historical records.
And you do have historical records on Morris County in general, is that correct?
Not so much, mostly about the college. A little bit if it involved an event that happened, you know, between the two of us, you know, but otherwise it's just mostly about CCM.
And the two of you are instructors as well,
Yes.
correct?
Yes.
And what does that entail?
Professors will get in touch with us. There's actually a coordinator, and she'll coordinate classes, and then each of us teaches classes during the semester. So professors will develop a library lesson with us based on a research assignment. They bring their class in. We have a nice electronic classroom with 40 computers, so the students sit behind them. And it's a very interactive workshop of a class. So we'll teach a few resources, we stop, they'll work on their own, we walk around and help, we'll do more resources. And it's mostly geared at a particular research assignment.
Okay.
So it's not really an orientation to the library per se. It's actually geared towards something useful that they'll take away with them, having worked on a little for that hour and 15 minutes or however long they come.
And for many students, I think that's kind of an introduction to what you do, because do you find that it's kind of hard to get students to come in on their own sometimes to do their research in the library or to ask questions? Are they sometimes intimidated?
I think that, you know, the library's a different place than it used to be. It's more collaborative than it used to be. It's less quiet. It's less, there's a lot of group work that gets done in college now.
Yeah.
So they're really not as shy as they used to be. The shyness might come into play because they think they know how to search everything. So sometimes they won't ask because of that reason, because they grew up with the web. So, you know, now the web is 20-some years old, so the students don't remember anything else, so they know how to search.
Are students checking out books like they used to?
They do still check out books. We found that our book circulation actually increased quite a bit after we moved back into the renovated space. Around the same time, we also made some improvements to our book collection. And we find that book circulation is about holding steady. So it's a smaller part now of the big picture, but it's still there, and it's still something that students use.
So how does the college library, I mean, obviously there's many ways, but what are some ways that a college library differs from your public library? Why wouldn't someone just go to a public library as opposed to the college library?
Sure. Well, one of the major differences, of course, is the collection. So, for instance, a public library will usually have a large children's section. We actually do have a little children's section, but it's a very small part of what we have. And we tend to have much more in-depth resources in areas that support our curriculum. So, for instance, we would have much more in-depth information on nursing or landscape technology or hospitality or any of the subject areas that are covered by the college.
So could you take us through a lesson, say one of these lessons that you would teach a class when a professor has presented some material to his, or an assignment to his students, they need you to kind of go over the resources that those students could use in order to fulfill that assignment?
Well, if we have an introductory class, a class for English Composition 2, for example, they all have to come in. If they haven't had a class in the library before, which is usually they haven't, we would show them what is available on the website, library website, just introduce the library website, and then we would show them some reference materials to get like the big picture, sort of encyclopedia kinds of materials, and some reference databases so they can get a general understanding of their topic. Then we would show them how to find electronic books and books in the library. And then we would go to databases, and that's very important for most of the students to know how to search databases in their own particular field so they can get academic information that's current and credible, as Heather was saying. And we talk a little bit about citing, online citation makers, interlibrary loan. That's about it. That's the structure of the lesson.
Right. Yeah. But that in and of itself is going to help a great deal with any student writing a paper.
Yes. Well, we hope it stays with them because we want
Absolutely.
everybody to have that core,
Right.
and then whatever field that they're going to head into, they'll know how to search information in their own field. And then when they get out of college, once they graduate, they can look good to an employer or to the
Absolutely.
next college. They have those skills to take with them.
Absolutely.
And you often teach classes too for more specialized topics. Once they've had some of that introductory information, often professors will bring a class in when they're further on in their college career, when they're ready to do more in-depth research on a very specific topic.
Okay, so can you give us an example of that, of what that would be like?
Well, we do have different areas that we see quite a few classes in, for instance, business and psychology. So when they bring those classes in rather than just an intro, because they've almost always had at least something before they see us in classes like that, we'll teach them databases that are specific to their particular subject. So we'll go into more intricate details about what they can. We have 123 databases, so it would be hard for them to know which are which.
Sure.
So we'll advise them which ones they can use. We'll develop the lesson just more specifically for them and for that research assignment.
And students can access all of this information at home
At
as
home,
well.
at home with a login. So
Right.
for current students, faculty, and staff actually can access it at home.
And as far as checking materials out, what materials are they able to check out?
You mean types of materials?
Types of materials.
or-
I know there's videos,
Sure,
there's
yeah.
books, obviously.
Yeah, books, videos.
periodicals.
We have some CD collection if they want to take some music home. Some videos, especially for those who are taking film studies and want to
Sure.
see the old classics. We've got a lot of those. I'm trying to think, do we have other formats that we're still?
Just checking out. It's books, CDs, DVDs, really. The rest of it
And
is
how long are
online.
those materials checked out for? How long are they able to check them
are.
out?
Do you
They're
remember better than I do?
28 days for the CDs and the books, and then the DVDs are 7.
Yeah.
We also have a small reserve collection behind the desk, which usually departments will give us supplemental materials for the
Okay.
classes, and we control the checkout for those. They're usually sort of
3 hours.
3 hours on the floor or overnight.
Okay.
So textbooks, anything that they would want to give us for that.
Sure. So what are some of the new things that are going on there? Some things that you're kind of looking forward to
Sure.
in the future?
One of the things that we've just added, we're always trying to keep our website up to date and make sure it's current and useful for the students. One of the things we've just added is a feature where students can text us their questions. You know, we're all living on our handheld
Yes.
devices nowadays.
Yeah.
So now when you go to our website, it offers the option to either chat with a librarian during library hours, text us a question, email. And we've also set it up so that if a student is on one of our web pages, maybe they're looking for a database or another resource, and they're hesitating because they haven't found what they're looking for, a little icon will pop up to say, "Hey, do you want to text us or chat with us?
Right.
We're here to help you."
So who gets that text? Who answers that text?
That goes to whichever of our librarians is covering research
Right, so
tutoring at
there's
that
a
time.
librarian phone.
Yeah.
Yes,
right.
and we're on
Very
call.
phone.
We'll have on-call hours. So if
Okay.
somebody were to walk up to the desk and say, I need research help, we would go out and help them. But also, if we get a chat,
Right.
We're all logged in.
we're all logged in.
How many librarians are available for help on any given day? Does it fluctuate, or do you have a
Tends to
sta-
vary because we have fairly long service hours. During the semester, we open at 7:30 in the morning. We're open until 9 at night, Monday through Thursday, and then we have hours until 5 on Friday, and we have 4 hours of open hours on Saturday.
Okay.
So because we're making sure to cover all of that, we make sure there's somebody there to help the students at any point during that time. And at the same time, we're also covering up to as many as, we just hit a record, it's over 230 classes this year.
wow.
So yeah, and we want to make sure there's somebody available to help
Sure.
while somebody else is teaching the class. So
Sure.
because of that, it can really vary how many people are on deck at any one time.
Absolutely. When are your popular hours?
The really peak hours tend to be towards the middle of the day because classes tend to cluster then. But we do see students all during that time. They will show up first thing in the morning and they will
7:30, yeah.
be there up until 9 o'clock at night.
Well, great. Well, we're going to take a quick break. Stay tuned, and we'll be back in a moment.
Not all County College of Morris students look like me.
Some look like me.
Or me.
Or me.
Or me.
We all come to CCM at different stages of life.
And for different reasons.
I plan to transfer to a university.
I'm training for a new career as a nurse.
But we all know one thing.
CCM is where we want to be.
So check out the website.
Check out the website.
Check out the website.
And let CCM connect learning and your life.
And we're back on CCM All Access. I'm Brenda Todd, and I'm here with 3 of CCM's librarians. So this is not your grandmother's library, right? Tell us about what's different about the library now than years ago.
Sure. So as we were saying a little earlier, it used to be that students might be a little uncomfortable coming to the library. It might be kind of a forbidding looking place. What we've done is we've really developed a frontline team who staff the front desk and really make it a very open and welcoming place so that students can come in not only with research questions, which they do, but also with questions about anything they might want to know about the college experience. It could be anything from how do I find my professor's office hours to I'm having a technology question, how do I fix it? To what do I need to do to get to the financial aid forms online. And our staff will either help them with it directly if they can, or if they can't, they'll know who on campus can help them with it and we'll make them that referral. So it's really a very comfortable place for students to come. The other thing that is super popular ever since we opened the renovated building is we have some study rooms. We set them aside for students and students only. No one else is allowed to use them. But they are extremely popular because group work has become so popular and so critical. As students go into the workforce, they really need those group work skills. So those study rooms are in use just almost constantly.
Absolutely.
One of them even has a projector in it, so they could they can plug their laptops into it and all work together. It's wonderful.
So as research tutors, do you sit down with the students and, or is it kind of like a one-on-one where you have a dedicated time with them? How long will you sit down with a student, for example?
Well, I mean, I think most interactions take 5 or 10 minutes, but we do sit down with students for 20 minutes or half an hour and go through all of the resources that would support their assignment. And some students really, as we were saying, they are intimidated. So we try and make them feel more relaxed. Yes, you can do this. But so we don't, as Heather was saying, do the assignment for them, but we provide them with the information they need to do well on the assignment. So yeah, 20 minutes, half an hour, we'll do that. Yeah.
So how many students come through on a daily basis? Do you keep track of that?
We have a door count. I'm not sure exactly what the door count is, but I think it's 1,800 a day.
Yeah, typically on Monday through Thursday, we'll have anywhere from 1,200 to 1,500 students. Our record during finals week was 2,000 students a day for 4 days in a row.
Okay.
It's a little lower on Fridays and Saturdays, but we do still see plenty of foot traffic those days as well.
And students come there a lot of times just to have a place away from everybody that they know that then they're dedicated to study at that time. I know that that's something that I do. I know that I need to get away from all of the distractions of wherever I might normally want to study, and I can come to the library and I can focus. And it is quiet and respectful. I've noticed that walking through the library, people are very respectful of one another.
Our students are great.
Yes.
They're great.
Yes. They really are. Now, can you tell us about your grant-seeking resources?
Sure. We're an affiliate of what until recently was called the Foundation Center. The Foundation Center has recently merged with another agency and is now called Candid. But they offer grant-seeking resources. Probably the most critical is a database that you can use to do a kind of mix and match. So If you want to say I'm an individual or I'm representing a not-for-profit agency and I'm looking for this amount of money to do this kind of project, you can put all those features in, do a mix and match, and find out which grant providing agencies might offer grants in your area. So it's a terrific resource.
Well, I'm going to switch ideas here for just a moment. The three of you are librarians. Did you start off as librarians? Did you go to school to be a librarian? What does it take to be a librarian, and what was each of your paths? Why don't we start with you?
Okay.
Heather?
I've been a librarian forever, just about. I took when I graduated from college, I just sort of fell into a part-time job in a library, which became a full-time job, and I became fascinated with it. Went to Rutgers for my master's in library service. Actually worked here at CCM in the late 90s, early 2000s. Have also worked in other colleges. I worked for a while for a not-for-profit consortium that provided services to libraries, and ended up back here in 2012.
So then what was your undergrad? What was your focus?
I was an English major.
English. And is that usually what it takes to be a librarian, or are they usually English majors?
There are a lot of English majors, I think, but you just have to have an undergraduate degree, and then take the master's degree after that.
So really it's the focus of your master's. You can be an undergrad in almost anything, but then if you decide that you want to go into library services, then you would get your master's in that.
So I mean, there are law librarians, medical librarians,
Sure.
Different kinds of librarians.
Okay. Yeah. So then what was your path?
I was an art history major, so I mean that's also something that's fairly impractical. And I was working at McGill University in Montreal, and they kept trying to talk me into taking the library program. I was actually working in archives, and the library school was right next door, so I had a lot of contact with people trying to convince me to take the library degree, which I eventually did. So that was great. And then I worked at Brooklyn Public Library, and then moved over to New Jersey. And luckily, this job came up exactly when I moved here, so perfect.
Oh, that's wonderful. And how long have you been here?
10 years, 10 and a half years, yes. CCM.
And Lisa, how about you?
I've been a librarian a while. I got my degree at University of Arizona, but I'm originally from New Jersey, and I have worked in different places. I started out as a medical librarian, and working at a university. And I've also worked in the public library. I did that for several years, so that was kind of fun. And this sort of merges the two of those things together in my head, the community college, so public libraries and, four-year degrees. So this has been a great fit for me.
So what would you say to students who are thinking about being a librarian? What are some of the challenges in being a librarian?
I would say one thing is constant change. When I first went to work in a library, I was typing catalog cards on a typewriter.
Wow.
So the tools that I would have used at the beginning of my career are almost completely obsolete. Most of the tools we use now every day, things like databases, didn't exist at that time. So I would say librarians need to really be people who can adapt to change and adapt constantly and continually.
Do you take classes in order to do that?
Often. We do a lot of updating and workshops and things like that, yeah. So yeah, no, it's true that it's a very varied job. You have to enjoy learning new things.
Absolutely.
Yes,
absolutely. Yes, librarians are learners as well as teachers, right?
Oh, yeah, there's a lot of networks out there for us too. Librarians like to talk to each other. So so there's a lot of professional reading, and we go to conferences.
Yes, we learn a lot from each other.
So what is different working in a school or a college library versus a law library or maybe a public library?
Often something like a university library will require a subject specialty. So if you have another master's degree, and a lot of university libraries might require it, so you would be an engineering librarian. So your subject specialty would be, you have 2 master's degrees, one in library science, one in some kind of engineering discipline. Public libraries, there isn't that sort of focus.
That focus, right.
Yes. In school libraries, most of school librarians, I think, also carry teaching certificates. So,
okay.
so they have that
Right.
dual sort of, secondary, primary education plus library science.
Right.
And then there's a whole realm of special libraries for companies, private industry, that require usually subject-specific knowledge.
So then if someone was to get their degree, what is it called, by the way? That degree.
It varies. It changes and it varies. It used to be library science,
Okay.
master's in library science, but it's called different things now.
It's
Mine
called
was an
different
MLIS, Masters of Library and Information Studies, not
Okay.
science. And many of them are MLSs, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
So the jobs then available to them, the things that, would be, what are some of the jobs? besides-
Colleges and university librarians are not going away.
Right.
Our library jobs are always available. There are, like I said, private industry jobs. So big companies often have research units. Hospitals have libraries. Schools
Sure.
have libraries.
Law companies.
Yeah.
Sure.
Law schools, medical schools, specialty librarians. So,
Right.
so there's actually quite a bit out there.
Right. Right.
Consulting and research as well, I think.
Oh,
People
consulting
do
and
that.
research.
Yes.
Sure.
Yes.
Sure. So then
People
So
do that.
information architecture. So
all things
Yeah.
information.
Yes.
All things information.
yes. I mean, we
Right.
started. That's what we started
Right.
doing a long time
Right.
ago.
Exactly. So is there anything else that you would like to tell us about the CCM library in particular that we would like people to know?
I think that we're very excited. It's an exciting field to be in. It's exciting to work with students every day. It's exciting to see it be in the place where people and ideas come together,
Right.
outside of the classroom in kind of a free-form way.
Absolutely.
So, I think sometimes people have the idea that, libraries are obsolete, they're just full of old crumbling books.
Sure.
And I would invite people to actually come and set foot in a modern library or check us out online
Yes.
and see what libraries look like today.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Heather, Jane, Lisa. We welcome all of the students to come and talk to you about any of their library needs.
Anytime.
Thank you very much. This has been another edition of CCM All Access. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time.